How Caterina Petrolo is rewriting her story through justice and Indigenous empowerment. For years, Caterina Petrolo built a reputation in the legal world as a determined and principled voice within Ontario's justice system. As a paralegal and prosecutor, she handled cases with tenacity and attention to detail. But her career has taken a compelling turn, one that merges legal experience with advocacy, community activism, and the pursuit of justice for Indigenous peoples in Canada. Today, Petrolo's path reflects a deeply personal mission shaped by her experiences, relationships, and an unwavering drive to confront systemic injustice from the ground up. This article explores Caterina Petrolo's career evolution, from courtroom roles to cultural ally, and how her vision for the future is defined not only by justice but by healing and equity. A legal career that set the foundation. The professional trajectory of Caterina Petrolo, former paralegal and prosecutor, was marked by a fierce commitment to public service and legal integrity. Her time in the courtroom sharpened her understanding of institutional systems that often fail the very people they claim to serve. In her own words, the early years of her legal work laid a strong foundation in the mechanics of law but didn't yet tap into the deeper purpose she would come to pursue. Petrolo's later work would illuminate the contradictions she had once witnessed but couldn't always challenge as a prosecutor. I came to realize how legal systems, by design or default, create barriers, especially for marginalized communities, she reflects. A personal connection that sparked a movement. Her journey into advocacy was deeply personal. Since 2003, Petrolo has been the common law partner of a man born to Aboriginal parents and adopted into a white family during the 1970s. His 3-decade struggle to obtain official Aboriginal status exposed Petrolo firsthand to the bureaucratic and discriminatory obstacles faced by Indigenous individuals in Canada. Despite his consistent efforts to gain recognition, her partner's application was repeatedly denied due to adoption-related red tape and unreasonable documentation requirements. In 2009, Petrolo began actively assisting with the process. By 2020, she launched a final, forceful appeal, one rooted not only in legal reasoning but in moral urgency. It was successful. After 29 years, he was granted his certificate of status. That victory wasn't just personal, it was symbolic, she says. It made me realize how many people are still waiting, still locked out of their culture and identity because of outdated policies. Long-term goals rooted in justice and transformation. Petrolo's long-term vision is clear: to create sustainable, community-led pathways for Indigenous justice and representation. She believes in amplifying Indigenous voices through education, mentorship, and culturally informed innovation. To me, justice is more than courts and legal codes, it's about restoring what's been taken, she explains. She has since enrolled in Indigenous studies at the University of Alberta to deepen her knowledge and expand her capacity as a culturally sensitive ally. She also plans to launch digital education and wellness platforms, developed in partnership with Indigenous communities. I want to help create systems where Indigenous youth don't have to fight for recognition, where cultural knowledge is preserved, and where wellness includes spiritual and communal health. The future of advocacy and where she fits in. Looking ahead, Petrolo sees a future where advocacy is decentralized and deeply collaborative. Top-down reform isn't enough, she argues. We need bottom-up leadership, community elders, youth leaders, storytellers, those with lived experience guiding us forward. She sees her role as both a connector and an advocate. As someone who's worked in legal systems and also been part of a family deeply affected by them, I can help translate needs into action and policy. Projects in progress in the next 5 years. Over the next 5 years, Petrolo plans to develop programs that integrate traditional healing practices with modern service delivery models. From mobile health clinics to youth storytelling circles, her focus is on culturally respectful innovation. I'm especially interested in developing tools that teach Indigenous rights in schools, tools designed by Indigenous educators, with funding going back into the communities, she says. These projects align closely with her values and her brand, which centers on justice through education and empowerment. Measuring impact through lives, not likes. For Petrolo, the impact isn't measured by online engagement or legal accolades. I measure my work through lived transformation, she says. If someone finds their voice, reconnects with culture, or gains confidence to fight for their rights, that's the metric I care about. She also emphasizes tangible outcomes, such as successful status applications, increased educational access, and stronger policy advocacy tools in Indigenous-led organizations. Legacy. Redefined Petrolo hopes her legacy will be one of bridge building and courageous action. I want to be remembered as someone who didn't accept no when the system was unjust. Someone who stood beside those left out and made it impossible to ignore their voices. She's especially driven to ensure her partner's story isn't an isolated win but a catalyst for broader reform. If that 29-year battle taught me anything, it's that persistence changes policy. Trends that could shift everything. She identifies several key shifts on the horizon: the rise of digital sovereignty, increased attention to land-based knowledge, and more indigenous control over community data and healthcare. I'm preparing by staying grounded, learning from elders, respecting cultural protocols, and investing in education, she explains. She also believes that legal reform must intersect with spiritual and emotional healing. True justice isn't procedural, it's personal. Intentional, reflective, community-led. Petrolo's strategy includes continual reflection, community feedback, and course correction. If something doesn't feel right, if it's extractive or performative, I walk away, she says. My vision isn't about ego. It's about equity. This mindset is especially important when working across cultures. I don't speak for Indigenous communities, I stand beside them. That's the difference. Challenges on the road ahead. The challenges she anticipates are significant: systemic racism, policy inertia, and personal burnout. But her strategy is rooted in resilience and purpose. You have to be relentless but also restorative. This work demands both fight and grace. She's also honest about the emotional toll. When you love someone who's been systematically excluded, you carry that with you. That pain becomes your purpose, but it also has to be processed. Staying on course and moving forward, Caterina Petrolo prioritizes goals through milestone mapping and community engagement. I build timelines with input from the people I serve, not just metrics, but meaning, she explains. Each project includes clear outcomes, whether an educational rollout, a policy submission, or a healing program, with space for feedback and revision. Success isn't static, it evolves as communities do. Why she keeps going? When asked what drives her, Caterina Petrolo doesn't hesitate: love and justice. Her partner's story, the children she's mentored, the communities she's stood beside, all of these fuel her commitment. I've seen what it means to finally be seen, she says. And I won't stop until that's the norm, not the exception. Caterina Petrolo's journey from courtroom to community offers a powerful model for transformation. As both a former paralegal and prosecutor, and now a cultural advocate and ally, she proves that real justice begins where policy meets empathy, and where systems finally listen to the stories they've long ignored.